In the quiet industrial town of Millbrook, where smokestacks painted the sky and factory whistles marked the rhythm of daily life, Emma Hartley carried the weight of her world on her young shoulders. At 28, she was more than just a worker. She was a protector, a provider, and the sole guardian of her younger brother Tom. The small apartment they shared was modest, with peeling wallpaper and second-hand furniture that told stories of struggle and resilience. Every morning, long before the sun had fully risen, Emma would wake up in the darkness. Her alarm clock, a worn-out gift from her late father, would softly beep, signaling the start of another challenging day. She would carefully prepare Tom's lunch, making sure each sandwich was packed with love and nutrition. Tom, just 16, had been through more hardship than most teenagers. Their parents' sudden passing 2 years ago had forced Emma to become both a sister and a parent. Where other young women her age were planning careers and social lives, Emma was focused on survival. Her first job at the local textile factory started at 5:30 a.m. The work was hard, long hours of standing, managing complex machinery, and ensuring every piece of fabric met strict quality standards. Her hands, once soft, were now calloused and strong. The other workers respected her, not just for her work ethic but for her quiet determination. After the factory shift, Emma would rush to her second job as a waitress at Miller's Diner. The bow. Evenings were a blur of serving customers, balancing trays, and managing tight tips. Her uniform was always crisp, her smile professional, even when exhaustion threatened to break her spirit. Tom was her light. Despite their challenges, he was a brilliant student. His school reports were filled with praise, top marks in mathematics and science. Emma knew education was his ticket to a better life, and she was determined to support his dreams. One gray November morning changed everything. Tom had been feeling unwell for weeks, but they couldn't afford regular medical checkups. When he wrote to you, finally collapsed at school, the doctors delivered news that would test Emma's strength like never before. A serious medical condition, the doctor explained, his voice clinical and detached. Treatment will be expensive. Without proper medical intervention, the prognosis is uncertain. The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Emma felt her world tilt. Medical bills would be impossible. Her 2 jobs barely covered their basic living expenses. How could she possibly manage this? But in that moment of potential despair, something remarkable happened. Emma looked at Tom, pale but hopeful, scared but brave. She remembered her mother's words. "We Hartleys don't break. We bend, we adapt, but we never break." Her mind started racing. Additional work, online courses, community support. There had to be a way. She wouldn't let this defeat her family. That evening, after her waitressing shift, instead of collapsing into bed, Emma sat at their small kitchen table. An old laptop, a gift from a kind neighbor, hummed to life. She began researching medical, support programs, scholarship opportunities, and potential part-time work she could do from home. Tom watched her, admiration mixing with concern. "You don't have to do this alone," he said softly. Emma smiled, a smile that spoke of love, determination, and hope. "We're in this together," she replied. Outside, Millbrook settled into its nightly quiet. Factory lights dimmed, street lamps flickered, and in their small apartment a sister's love burned brighter than any challenge they would face. The night was long, but Emma's spirit was longer. She would find a way. She always did. Her fingers continued typing, a soft rhythm of hope against the laptop keys, a silent promise to her brother, to herself, that their story was far from over. This was just the beginning. The winter wind cut through Millbrook like a knife, matching the sharpness of Emma's determination. Her life had become a delicate balance of hope and survival, each day a new challenge to overcome. The medical bills for Tom's treatment loomed like a massive shadow, threatening to crush their dreams. One particularly cold evening, after her factory shift, Emma found herself at the local library. While Tom was at a school study group, she had decided to use every spare moment to change their circumstances. The library's free internet was her lifeline to opportunity. She remembered her grandmother's old stories about learning and self-improvement. "Knowledge is the key that opens every door," her grandmother would say. Those words echoed in Emma's mind as she began exploring online coding courses. The computer screen flickered with tutorials, lines of code becoming a language of hope. At first, the programming seemed like an impossible puzzle. Her fingers, used to factory machinery and restaurant trays, stumbled over the keyboard. But Emma was not one to give up easily. Night after night, she practiced. While other people her age were watching television or going out, she was learning JavaScript, Python, and web development. Richard, her elderly neighbor, noticed her dedication. A retired engineer, he had an old laptop that he generously offered to Emma. "You remind me of myself when I was young," he told her, his eyes twinkling with understanding. The laptop became her most precious possession, a gateway to potential, opportunity. Her workplace at the textile factory was monotonous. Endless rows of machines, the constant hum of production, workers moving like carefully choreographed dancers. But Emma's mind was elsewhere, processing coding problems, dreaming of a different future. The local tech startup, Digital Horizons, had been advertising job openings. Emma knew her chances were slim. She had no formal qualifications, just determination, and recently acquired skills from online courses, but something inside her pushed her to try. She spent weeks preparing her application. Every evening after work, she would refine her resume, create a portfolio of small coding projects she had developed. Tom would sit beside her, offering encouragement, and occasionally helping her debug her code. The day of the interview arrived. Emma wore her best outfit, a simple black blazer borrowed from a colleague and a crisp white shirt. Her hands trembled slightly as she entered the modern office of Digital Horizons. Peter Williams, the hiring manager, looked unconventional for a tech professional. Kind eyes, a welcoming smile that put Emma at ease. He wasn't just looking for technical skills. He was searching for potential, for passion. The interview was unlike anything Emma had experienced. Instead of traditional questions, Peter asked about her motivations, her learning journey. He was interested in her story, a young woman who taught herself coding while working 2 jobs and caring for her brother. "Tell me why you want this opportunity," Peter said, leaning forward. Emma's response was simple but powerful. She spoke about Tom, about their struggles, about her belief that technology could change lives. Her honesty was raw, her passion undeniable. Days passed. Emma tried to manage her expectations, but then the email arrived. Digital Horizons wanted to offer her a junior position with comprehensive training. The salary wasn't massive, but it was more than she had ever earned. When she told Tom, he hugged her so tightly she could barely breathe. "You did it," he whispered. Tears mixed with laughter. A celebration of hope, of possibility. That night, looking out of their small apartment window, Emma felt something she hadn't felt in years. Genuine hope. The city lights of Millbrook seemed to twinkle with promise, reflecting the newfound brightness in her own life. Her journey was far from over. But for the first time, the path ahead looked clear, lined with potential and possibility. Emma Hartley, the factory worker turned aspiring programmer, was ready to write her own story. The wind outside continued to blow, but inside their apartment, warmth and hope had found a home. The weeks following Emma's new job at Digital Horizons were a whirlwind of challenges. Her days had become an intricate dance of responsibility. Early morning factory shifts, intense coding training, evening hospital visits, and late-night care for Tom. Tom's medical condition was growing more complicated. Each hospital visit brought new tests, new uncertainties. The medical bills continued to pile up despite Emma's increased income. She was working harder than ever, but it never seemed enough. At Digital Horizons, Emma pushed herself beyond her limits. The tech world was competitive and challenging. Young professionals with university degrees surrounded her, making her feel like an outsider. She worked twice as hard to prove her worth, staying late, taking additional online courses, and volunteering. For extra projects, her body was sending warning signals. Exhaustion crept into her bones. Dark circles formed under her eyes, a testament to countless sleepless nights. She survived on strong coffee and determination, but even her incredible willpower had its limits. One particularly difficult Wednesday, everything came crashing down. Tom had another critical medical test, and Emma had an important presentation at work. She hadn't slept more than 3 hours in 2 nights. Her hands were shaking, her mind foggy from exhaustion. During her presentation, something unexpected happened. As she stood before her colleagues explaining a complex coding solution, her words began to blur. The room started spinning. Her carefully prepared slides became a meaningless jumble of words and images. And then, she collapsed. The next thing Emma remembered was waking up in the hospital. Tom sat beside her, his face a mixture of worry and love. The doctor explained she had experienced extreme exhaustion and stress. Her body was shutting down, demanding rest. "You can't continue like this," the doctor advised firmly. "Your health is at risk." The hospital waiting room became her moment of vulnerability. Surrounded by the sterile white walls, Emma broke down. Years of holding everything together, of being strong for everyone, suddenly overwhelmed her. Silent, tears turned into uncontrolled sobs. Margaret, a compassionate nurse with kind eyes and gentle hands, noticed Emma's distress. Instead of dismissing her, she sat beside her, offering a simple human connection. "You're trying to carry the world on your shoulders," Margaret said softly. "But you're human. It's okay to ask for help." Those words struck Emma deeply. For the first time, she realized her strength wasn't about doing everything alone. True strength meant knowing when to accept support, when to acknowledge her own limitations. Her colleagues from Digital Horizons surprised her. Instead of criticism, they showed understanding. Peter Williams visited her, bringing not just get well wishes, but a modified work arrangement that would allow her more flexibility. Tom, typically the one being cared for, now became her support. He organized their home, prepared simple meals, and ensured she got proper rest. Their roles had temporarily reversed, showing the true meaning of family support. The local community in Millbrook also rallied around her. Neighbors brought food. Her factory colleagues collected money to help with medical expenses. The waitress team from Miller's Diner sent a care package with her favorite comfort foods. Emma's breaking point became her transformation point. She learned to set boundaries, to prioritize self-care. Her definition of strength evolved from endless sacrifice to balanced resilience. As she recovered, something inside her changed. The fear that had always driven her began to transform into a calm, determined hope. She realized that her journey wasn't about perfection, but about persistent, compassionate progress. Tom would squeeze her hand, reminding her of their unbreakable bond. "We're in this together," he would say, echoing the words she had always told him. The Millbrook sky outside her hospital window seemed different, not just gray and industrial, but filled with subtle shades of possibility. Emma understood that breaking didn't mean failure. Sometimes breaking was the first step toward rebuilding, stronger and wiser. Her story was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning to truly unfold. Word spread quickly through Millbrook about Emma Hartley's situation. What started as a personal struggle soon became a community mission of hope and support. At Digital Horizons, Peter Williams called a team meeting. He shared Emma's story, not as a plea for sympathy, but as an inspiration. The young professionals, initially strangers to Emma, began discussing ways to help. Some proposed a fundraising campaign, others offered to contribute directly to Tom's medical expenses. Richard, Emma's elderly neighbor, became an unexpected hero. A retired engineer with meticulous organizational skills, he started managing the complex medical paperwork. He would spend hours calling insurance companies, researching medical support programs, and finding potential financial assistance. The factory workers where Emma had originally worked heard about her challenges. During DOS, their lunch break, they organized a collection. Workers who barely made enough money themselves contributed what they could, $5, $10, whatever spare change they had. Their solidarity was a powerful testament to human compassion. Miller's Diner, where Emma had worked as a waitress, became another center of support. The owner, Jack Miller, hung a poster detailing Tom's medical needs. Customers started making donations, leaving extra tips specifically marked for the Hartley family's medical fund. Tom's school community also rallied. His teachers organized a charity event, showcasing students' talents to raise money. Local businesses donated auction items. The school gymnasium transformed into a space of hope, filled with music, laughter, and community spirit. Emma was initially overwhelmed by the support. Her independent nature made it difficult to accept help. But Tom encouraged her, explaining that accepting support wasn't weakness, but a different kind of strength. Peter from Digital Horizons used his professional network to connect Emma with medical research foundations. These connections opened unexpected doors, potential clinical trials, reduced cost treatment options, and specialized medical consultations. The local newspaper ran a feature about Emma's journey. Her story of resilience, a young woman learning coding, working multiple jobs, caring for her brother, touched many hearts. The article didn't just raise awareness, it inspired others facing similar challenges. Unexpected support came from various directions. A local university offered Tom a potential scholarship, recognizing his academic potential. Medical researchers became interested in his case, offering additional support and potential treatment pathways. Emma's original fears about being alone began to dissolve. The community's support wasn't just financial, it was emotional. People would stop her on the street offering words of encouragement, sharing their own stories of overcoming challenges. Her coding skills continued to improve. The flexible work arrangement at Digital Horizons allowed her to balance her professional growth with Tom's medical needs. Her colleagues became more than just workmates. They became a support network. The fundraising efforts were remarkable. What seemed like an impossible medical bill started to look manageable. Each donation, no matter how small, represented hope. Each contribution was a statement that the community believed in their potential. Tom's medical treatments showed promising results. The combination of medical expertise, community support, and Emma's unwavering love created a powerful healing environment. His doctors began to speak more optimistically about his recovery. Emma learned something profound during this period. Strength isn't about facing challenges alone. True strength is about being vulnerable, accepting help, and allowing others to contribute to your journey. Her perspective shifted. Where she once saw obstacles, she now saw opportunities. Where she felt isolated, she now felt connected. The community of Millbrook had transformed from a collection of individuals to a support network. As winter turned to spring, hope blossomed. The Hartley apartment, once a place of quiet struggle, now felt different. Filled with cards, letters, of support and a sense of collective possibility, it became a symbol of community resilience. Emma would often look at Tom, marvel at his spirit, and think about their journey. They had entered this challenge alone, but they were emerging stronger, supported by an entire community that believed in their potential. Millbrook had shown that when people come together, no challenge is insurmountable. Emma and Tom's story was no longer just their own. It had become a beacon of hope for everyone. The months following the community's support brought transformative changes to Emma and Tom's life. What once seemed like an impossible journey now appeared as a path of unexpected opportunities and growth. Tom's medical treatments showed remarkable progress. Doctors who had initially been cautious now spoke with genuine excitement about his recovery. Each medical report became a celebration, each improvement a testament to medical science and human resilience. Emma's career at Digital Horizons continued to flourish. Her unique journey, from factory worker to junior programmer, inspired many. The company recognized her potential, offering her additional training and mentorship opportunities. Her coding skills improved dramatically, and she began to see technology not just as a job, but as a tool for changing lives. Recognizing the challenges she had overcome, Peter Williams suggested something extraordinary. He proposed that Emma start a mentorship program within the company for individuals from non-traditional backgrounds. Her story of self-learning and determination could inspire others facing similar challenges. The mentorship program became her passion project. Emma began sharing her experiences with young professionals who felt stuck or limited by their circumstances. She would speak about her journey, the late-night studying, the challenges of learning coding while working multiple jobs, the importance of persistence. Tom, now fully recovered, became an exceptional student. His medical journey had given him a unique perspective on life. He decided to pursue a career in medical research, inspired by the doctors and researchers who had supported his treatment. The local community continued to play a significant role in their lives. Richard, the neighbor who had helped with medical paperwork, became a trusted friend and mentor. He would often visit, sharing stories of his own life's challenges and triumphs. Emma started teaching part-time coding workshops at the local community center. Her classes were different from traditional tech courses. She focused on teaching not just technical skills, but resilience, problem-solving, and believing in oneself. Her workshops attracted a diverse group: young students, career changers, individuals who had previously thought technology was beyond their reach. Emma became more than just an instructor. She was a beacon of hope, proving that education and determination could overcome any obstacle. The Hartley apartment, once a symbol of struggle, transformed into a space of learning and inspiration. Bookshelves filled with coding manuals, technology, magazines, and medical journals replaced the old secondhand furniture. Each item told a story of growth and possibility. Financial stability, which had once seemed like a distant dream, became a reality. Emma's increased income, combined with Tom's potential scholarship, opened up new possibilities. They could now plan for the future, something they had rarely allowed themselves to do before. Their story began to spread beyond Millbrook. Local media, inspired by their journey, featured them in documentaries and articles about resilience and community support. Emma was invited to speak at tech conferences, sharing her unique perspective on learning and personal growth. Tom's recovery became a source of inspiration for other families facing similar medical challenges. He started a support group for young patients, using his experience to provide hope and practical advice to others. The relationship between Emma and Tom deepened. No longer just siblings, they became true partners in each other's growth. They supported each other's dreams, celebrated each other's achievements, and faced challenges as a team. Emma realized that her greatest strength was not in her ability to work hard, but in her capacity to hope, to learn, and to connect with others. Her journey had taught her that success is not a solitary achievement, but a collaborative effort. As years passed, the little girl who once felt powerless had become a powerful mentor, an inspiring professional, and a beacon of hope for many. Her story proved that with determination, support, and belief, anything is possible. Looking back, Emma understood that their greatest triumph was not just overcoming medical and financial challenges, but in transforming those challenges into opportunities for growth and inspiration. The Millbrook skyline, once a backdrop to their struggles, now represented endless possibilities. Emma and Tom had not just survived, they had created a new narrative of hope, resilience, and community support. Their story was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning.